Hey, Barry.
Hey, Sam. How are you?
Pretty good. I had a power outage, so I'm restarting everything. So I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, okay. So you don't have your NUC or whatever you call that new machine?
It's rebooting. I just woke up not long ago.
Okay.
It's not on a 24/7 UPS that lasts for a long time.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it is on a power, what is it?
Power strip?
Smoother conditioner. I forget what they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with or without a battery extender?
Well, the battery's only good for 20 minutes.
Oh, that's not
And I just woke up, so it was probably a while ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, Nancy. Welcome to Barn Raising.
Let's see. I need to change my profile because I'll show you the one I got now, which I need to take down. I need to put in something a little more polite for today. I don't know if Sam can even see that.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Let's see. Preferences. Profile.
Hello, Nancy, Glenn, Barry, Sam.
Hello.
There's a better one for today.
That's always nice. Don't forget to be awesome.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The one that I had up was for yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, where we were talking about people talking and never shutting up. So I was using that as the representative icon. Can't remember. I don't think you weren't there yesterday, were you, Glenn? I don't think you were.
No.
Yeah.
Fridays is a really crazy day for me.
Right. Yeah. That was the topic: is what to do with people who never stop talking.
Welcome, Paul.
Okay. Oh, some new faces today.
Yeah, Nancy is new and Paul is new.
Hi, Paul.
And the others know each other. So
Paul, you're muted.
Amtis from the Netherlands. Glenn is Norway.
Hello, everyone.
Barry is...
sorry I missed you last week, Barry.
Yeah, and I'm sorry you did. This one is going to be a different from normal. Instead of Sam hosting a general barn raising conversation, it's going to be a special presentation by Jazz Winders. How do you pronounce his last name? Shigar?
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about meditation. So this is not what you would normally expect on a Saturday morning. This is a special, different thing.
Yeah, a little presentation then.
Yeah, he's big on classical meditation techniques. That's one of his superpowers.
Has he arrived yet?
No, he's not here yet. You'll recognize him because he's of Indian ethnic origins, and you'll be able to recognize him. He doesn't, although he lives in London. So he's
cool.
Welcome, Kayla. Welcome, Colin.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Kayla.
Computer, cancel. Sorry, guys, I'm still booting up here. I was under the mistaken impression that I could just hand it over in about 3 seconds to just Winder and not have to worry about anything. But now
You want to hand it over to me in the interim while you reboot your other machine? Or is that
almost there?
Is that not the issue? Anyway,
Almost.
Paul, I think Jaswinder's
cancel.
Ethnicity is Sikh, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
which I don't know very much about. It's a very small demographic. I don't know too much about the Sikhs, but that's I believe that's his
never met a Sikh to my knowledge.
Well, you should seek one out.
Yes.
I've heard the tongue twister about a sheep, but not a Sikh. 6 sheep is sick.
Somebody's got their echoing going.
That's B. Hang on.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. There's 2 Sams.
Welcome, Yosha. Welcome, Yosha Bridge.
Oh, Joshua's here. Good. Joshua's on the West Coast, so it's early in the morning for him.
How long have you been having the barn raising Zoom? Since pandemic started or a little after?
No, Sam started these, what is it, about 3 years ago, Glenn? 3.5 years ago?
Yeah, it's something like that.
He's actually started in, let's say, September/October of 2017.
Cool.
It's probably been
3.5 years, if I'm doing the math right.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if my camera works.
And Sam lives in Puget Sound, just outside of Seattle proper.
You can think of it as
other days too.
Yeah, you can think of it as virtually between Seattle and Vancouver. So it's about 90 minutes driving time from either location. Nancy, welcome. Paul, welcome. Haven't met you guys before.
Jaswinder, welcome.
Jaswinder, you're here. Almost.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah.
So Nancy, were you invited by Jaswinder? Or by Barry? Paul, were you invited by Jaswinder or Barry or someone else?
From Barry last week, but I wasn't able to join last week. So when I saw that it was a repetitive, I thought I would try again this week.
Okay, and just for reference, what time zone are you in?
Eastern.
Okay.
Paul is also an MIT grad and is doing research that overlaps mine by quite a bit.
MIT?
Yeah.
Hey,
he graduated mechanical engineering. How long ago, Paul, did you graduate?
83.
83, yeah.
So upon a trivia that I don't often share with anyone, I actually applied to MIT and I was accepted by MIT, and they sent me something that I never got from any other school. They sent me a little very heavy bond embossed 3-dimensional acceptance certificate.
Wow.
Everybody else sends a letter, but this place sent, and it was in a leather binder. And it was multicolor and had a gilding on it, and it was embossed, and it was 3D, and it was so fancy. I still have it. I was just anyway. Joel, welcome. Hey, Jaswinder, this is your show. Are you ready? Are you ready to appear?
Tiz has his hand up.
Tiz.
Yeah, you asked Nancy to introduce herself, but I didn't hear her well enough.
Right, Nancy. Were you introduced or invited by Barry or Jaswinder or someone else?
Hello, everyone. It's great pleasure for me.
Oh, we lost
your microphone. Probably just got turned off. We can't hear you anymore. We can hear you very, very low.
Okay.
Are you on the phone? Okay, that's much better. That's much better.
Am I audible now?
Yes.
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 Yes. It's a great pleasure for me to, to be here in this meeting, and I have been suggested, from Jaswinder uncle. He's my uncle G. He has only suggested me to attend this meeting. Yeah. Yes. And I'm from India, Saharanpur. We are 3 sisters. Me, Nancy. She is Harsheen. And she's Gurleen. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
So you're in the India time zone right now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so it's like middle of the night or no, late evening. Okay, it's late evening. Right.
It's 9:30 here. It's 9:39. 9:39.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're a half hour off the top of the hour for most of the time zones.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jaswinder, are you ready? Jaswinder, it looks like you do not have a microphone hooked up. Hey, Stacy.
Stacy and Alex, good to see you guys.
Hey, Kayla. Hey, Colin. Hey, Alex.
A lot of people today. That's good.
Jaswinder's a popular man.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless it was other causes. Jaswinder, your microphone and your camera are both turned off. It's going to be difficult to moderate the session that way. Could you try a different device, Jaswinder, if you can hear us?
Is Jaswinder joining us from India?
No, Jaswinder is joining us from the UK.
UK. That's what you said.
Hi, Joel.
Hi, girls.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good, thank you. Yes. Let's see what's going on with Jazz.
So for those of you who are new, sorry to interrupt. So for those of you who are new, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to Saturday Barn Raisings. And Jaswinder can interrupt at any time when he arrives. But anyway, just like a 1-minute introduction. These groups, which span Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's typically 2-hour conversations each of those days throughout the week, and they recur every week. They were a result of a proposal that I and a few others submitted on September 30th of 2017. The submission was to an organization called the Global Challenges Foundation, located in Sweden, which in April of that year had invited proposals for what might be a new global governance model that could improve global state. And in fact, possibly improve on what the United Nations is doing. So they received, I believe they received over 2,000 proposals because the award money was $5 million. There's been a subsequent scandal because not all of that money has actually been awarded. And there's a little bad taste in people's mouths because of that. But anyway, the proposal that I and others submitted was, how can we get the best ideas from each other and have that scale and have that co-create something much better than we can create on our own? How can we do that? And so we started these conversations as a way to explore that question. And so the structure of the week is Thursdays, we explore pretty much anything people want to talk about. And that's hosted by Doug Breitbart. On Fridays, Gertrude Vext moderates a group called the Appreciators Method, which is based on her studies and her book. On Saturdays, I moderate a group called Barn Raising, which is, what are you doing? What am I doing? Can we help each other? What are the impediments to collaboration? And there's about 6 or 7 other very big ideas in there, but I'm not going to go into that right now. And on Sunday, Doug Breitbart hosts and moderates a group called Unblocking. In other words, how do people get triggered? What happens when people get triggered? What's the responsibility of the individual? What's the responsibility of the group? How do we get over those triggers? Typically emotional, reactive, non-mental, very amygdala-driven kind of reactions. So that's the structure of the week so far. I believe that Wednesdays, Alex is trying to start up a wisdom group as well. So because I have a day gig, I don't attend any sessions during the week. So Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, I can make somewhere around 0 or 1 or 2% of those meetings. But I do try to be fairly regular with the weekends. I'm rarely missing on Saturdays and usually make the unblocking situations about at least half or 2/3 of the time. Okay, so that's an introduction to these conversations and the structure of the week. And now that Jaswinder is here and visible, and are you audible, Jaswinder? Can you say something? Let's see if your audio works.
Yeah, the audio is working as far as I can tell.
Okay, yes, we can hear you. Okay, so Jaswinder volunteered to lead this particular session, and I asked him what his topic was going to be, and he mentioned it was going to be around meditation. These sessions typically go for about 2 hours, although I let the session run for as long as people want to talk, usually up until about 4 hours, because after 4 hours, certain bad things happen with the various different accounts. So usually we try to keep it to 2 to 4 hours, somewhere in there, okay, closer to 2. The other thing I want to say for those who are new here is all of these sessions are recorded. So if you do not want to be recorded, then please either don't say anything or don't turn on your camera or depart, but these sessions are recorded, okay? So with that, I'll turn it over, with one more comment. The last 15 minutes, I would like to reserve for a retrospective on this session. So Jaswinder was invited to moderate. I will still host and record, but he will decide what the ground rules are for this discussion, what the topic is, possibly invite feedback from others, but it's not a requirement. But all I say is around the last 15 minutes, around, what is it, an hour and a half? Wow, it's already 8:15. Okay, so about an hour and 30 minutes from now, I'll try and get this to wrap up and do a retrospective and ask how the session went for everyone, okay? So I'm going to recede back into the cobwebs. This is now Jaswinder's session. Jaswinder, you're on.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for the introduction. Hello, everybody. Apologies for being late. The computer is playing up somewhat. I'm here at long last. I'm not here to do anything spectacular. It's just a continuation of something I wanted to do for a long time. And all it is meditation, introspection, looking into our own individual minds by ourselves, and possibly a little bit of an explanation, nothing elaborate. What does it do for us? How can we use it? Where should it take us eventually? It may take a long time, but that's what it is. So we'll start with the normal greeting of a Sikh person, baptized, that's me, which is Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Hello,
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Uncle Ji.
Thank you. Very nice to see you here. Thank you for turning up, and everybody else. I have one in the chat, but I can't go into the chat as the PC is not working properly. I don't know why. It worked perfectly yesterday. Maybe I did something with it yesterday. Okay. We're all familiar with something we call daydreaming. Every one of us has been daydreaming for as long as we can remember. What we don't remember is what we were dreaming about. Normally, especially when we're disturbed, people don't understand that the mind does tend to wander off, but they want full attention. Even if they don't really want you to be there, they want you to be there so you can pay attention. And they'll knock you or call you and say, "Oi, what are you doing? You're falling asleep again. Pay attention." What they should do is say, "Where were you? Penny for your thoughts" is the phrase in the UK, but we don't do that. We want them with us. The only proviso that I can give to anybody is to try to remember what they were daydreaming about. In other words, capture your own thinking process. That way you're capturing yourself. And capturing the self is a very difficult thing. Most of us are aware we can have more than one thought ongoing. So when we're reading, writing, singing, dancing, there are umpteen thoughts going through the mind. Capturing that thought process is essentially the me and the you. Capturing the one the one where the thought originates. And that leads to very deep thinking, that leads to clarity, which leads somewhere else, but let's get to that particular stage. In addition to daydreaming, we can augment that by inducing that state, simply by sitting still, letting the mind wander and follow it. I've got a little guest coming in. I mean, just starting a meeting, I've got two little guests coming in. Yeah. Have you stopped playing in the garden now? Yeah. Okay, be gentle, be gentle. Come and say hello to everybody. Okay, there you are. Say hello. Hello. Okay. I just do okay, now, can you go downstairs, please? No. Okay, you sit here. Hold on, you sit here. You sit here. Okay, you stay there. Let me, no, it's not charging. If that doesn't charge, the meeting will finish. Just need Aja. And here is the other one.
Hello.
Little one.
They've been out in the garden all day and decided to come in for their tea and visit me. So as I was saying, no, you stay there. Don't move. No. Don't move. Sit. You keep moving the wire. And this is a bit dicky. That's it. Hello, girls. Good, you come.
Come on. Look, they highlighted all the papers. I finished my meeting just like right now.
Okay. Gently. I'm losing
I finished my meeting right now.
Okay.
Just leave. Come on.
Pick them up. Take them, please. Okay. You want to stay with me? Have you eaten? Yeah. You can tell by your mouth. I ate. Yeah, I'll come downstairs in 5 minutes. Okay? Promise. Okay, you stay here.
Are you sure that wasn't more fun than meditating?
That was meditation. That was meditation.
Yeah. All kinds.
Okay. Can you say that again so I can hear what you said?
Look.
Listen. You're going to stay
I was mentioning clearing your mind of all the thoughts, and I was thinking that was, and I think Sam astutely said that was kind of another kind of meditation.
Colin, thank you very much for the comment. 2 rules. One is we will try not to go off topic. Second one is disruptions. Is people who have a tendency to wander off and then keep going on and on about whatever it is they want to talk about.
Jaswinder, Colin was answering your question.
Yes. I have thanked him for it, which is very good. And I'm coming back onto topic. Is that all right?
I was just saying, you asked him a question, he was responding to your question, and before you could hear his answer, you interrupted him.
Okay, I'll let you finish.
As we focus, here we go.
Well, hold on, let me get these children downstairs. Where's mommy?
Mom, they got mom in the house back.
Okay, right. Stay there. No, you stay there. Get down.
Good morning, Alex.
Get down. No, I'm coming with you. Thank you. Get down. No, get down. Now. Thank you. So let me just get these 2 out of the room and downstairs. I'll be back in a minute or 2. If you'd like to have a chat with amongst yourself, that's fine. Yeah. Come on, let's go.
I wanted to welcome Jas I see another attendee, Jess. It doesn't look like it's Jess Winder. So Jess, welcome if you are new.
I'm trying to come in on the big PC and it's not working.
Oh, it is you. You spell it with 2 S's there.
I couldn't afford the third one.
You can't afford the third S?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is Jess Winder. Okay, all right.
So we went from daydreaming to play dreaming.
What was the question that Alex was answering? I think Alex?
No, Colin, I think, was answering.
Colin.
He had just asked what he said, and he repeated what he said, and Sam had added on to what he said.
Yeah, I was encouraging Jazz Winder with all of the chaos and saying how wonderful it is.
Wow.
Okay, we're plugged in, charging, and ready to go. Sorry, Colin, can you repeat that, please? Colin?
I don't think it's going to add. If you want me to, I can.
Yeah, I want you to.
Okay. I was just answering Paul's question about what question I was answering, which was your question about what was I saying, which I'm answering again.
Very good.
And what was your answer to me?
My appreciation of your effort in the chaos, and which way should we go?
About the mind clearing. I've been downstairs, so when you said about the mind clearing and Sam said I didn't listen to you, that's the one I want to listen to now. Hello?
The mind clearing? Yeah, I think I was juxtaposing the idea of how fun it is to have children and meditate in that glory, as opposed to perhaps one where we sit down and try to flush all the ideas out. But Sam was saying there's many kinds of meditation. He's very astute.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So I'm glad you brought up about clearing the mind before we start or whenever we want to. There's lots of, I won't say mythologies, but there's lots of misinformation about meditation. What is it? How can we do it? What does it do for us? Is it any good? Is it whatever it is? It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing to explain. It's a very simple thing to do. And being mindful or clearing your mind or coming to the present moment is one of the simplest things, as has been demonstrated on GCC previously by me. I don't know if anybody else has done it, but I'll do it now, is to take a deep breath and hold it. Breathe in, hold, breathe some more on top, sit as upright as possible so that you're getting your belly to stick out as the breath goes into the belly. And take another breath on top and hold. And then breathe on top. And within a few seconds, you feel the mind clearing. Bless you. Bless you. Let out gently. Normal breathing. And you should have a fairly clean mind. Calmer. And in the present moment. Anybody can do that anytime, anywhere. We've all heard the saying, if you start to lose your temper, count to 10. But just take a deep breath and hold it. Physiologically, a lot happens when one holds one breath under pressure, because we're increasing the pressure inside the body to above normal, which is atmospheric pressure, somewhere around 14.7 pounds to the square inch. Our memory systems work by pressurizing certain regions of the brain which are doing the work, and they get more blood. And certain regions get less blood. But currently we're looking at the ones that get more blood because we think they're working and the others are not. They're all working at different capacities, and the joined up picture is what we want to see. And that's where the whole mind-brain combination comes in. This is absolutely very, very simple. What are you doing? What are you thinking? How do you capture that? That's what we are in essence. That's what you are in essence. Is that of any use to you to know why you're doing what you're doing? If it is, then we have to start capturing it. You yourself, for which a small amount of good memory recall is required, not absolutely necessary, because it does develop. The more we do it, the more we develop it. Now, the other point I've heard today is the umpteen methods, countless methods of meditation. Really? I looked it up on Mr. Google. Yeah, there were lots of websites, lots of people doing things. There are 20 ways of meditation, this way of meditation. But all you're doing, in essence, is capturing yourself. So you're going to pay attention to a part of you that you don't normally pay attention to. Here I am, talking with everybody. I can see Barry, Glenn, the three Seti sisters, and me. So if I turn that, I've got Paul. Hello, Paul. Nice to see you again. Joel, Alex, Stacy. Thank you for the reminder, Stacy. HCK, data scientist. Nice to see you. Sam, Thais, Kayla, Joshua, and there's me without the picture. I can't get the PC to work, so I'll take that off. It's just clogging up the system for no reason. The first one we all do every day. For that one, all you need is a little time, from as little as a few seconds, 30 seconds, to 5, 10, 30 minutes, whenever you can spare it, don't spare it. Whenever you can, you're at the bus stop, wherever you are, eyes open, eyes shut. If your eyes are open, let them go out of focus. Right now, Barry, you're looking at me, relax, let your eyes go out of focus. You can stare at me straight back, and I can stare at you. Let your eyes go out of focus and start capturing what you're thinking. So if you're singing, dancing, whatever you're doing, whenever you're doing it, you can start concentrating on that little voice that you're ignoring all the time. Because that is essential you. The one that's giving instructions, say this, say that, don't say this. It's kind of like standing in a storeroom full of memories on little cartridges or discs or memory slots or whatever. And you get an input, a stimuli, and then you start looking for a response. And you, in each and every one of us, has over the number of years stored responses to a particular question to a particular input, and we're going to choose, each and every one of us then starts to choose what we think, and that is the bit, is the appropriate response that we have stored. That's all we can do. That's all we have. So whether that response is appropriate to the recipient is a different matter. It's our choice. It's my choice. It's the one I have. The interpretation of that will come back to me, whether it's appropriate or not, whatever the question is. And then the process continues. And this interaction is probably the most important and enjoyable aspect of any relationship. What I said, how it was received, the retort, and that gives me a clue as to what the other person thought I meant, and then I change it, or divert it, or whatever. But the point here is, who am I out of all of that? I am the one that's in the thinking room. How do we get to the thinking room is to capture that thought process, the effect of it, and that takes us into that. We can do it with silent meditation, we can do it with mantra meditation, we can do it with singing, dancing, twirling, car driving, all the time. Each and every activity that we do every day is reliant on the same process. But we're so busy chuntering, talking, thinking, we miss it. We're trying to be clever. We want this, we want that, we want others to understand us. But at the same time, we're hiding ourselves. But I don't want them to know that about, I don't want them to think that about me, so I'll give them this response. And I want to be appear to be cleverer than I am, so I'll give them this response. Sooner or later, it starts catching up with us. And that's when we have discord, not a chord, not a disagreement. We just come up with two different opinions about something or other, and it's a mismatch. No, it can't be that. It has to be this. No, it can't be that, but it's this. Well, unless you get to that essential, to that essence, you can't be certain. We can listen to others, hundreds and thousands and millions of people, but very few have reached that depth and come up with the answer, the indisputable answer that this is what it is. And some have taken the trouble to write down the retorts that we ought to have ready, depending on the input. The correct ones, the polite ones, the ones that take us forward, that build us up as a community. And that process takes a very, very long time, because we have something called ego, the self, the big I am, Homer. There are lots of names for these entities, the attributes, and there are a number of them that we have to pay attention to, and people have written about them and how to overcome them. Fortunately, I have been spending the last 3 months, since about mid-December, going through one of the hardest meditations ever. The Muslims do this every year. For a whole month, they do fasting. The Sikh lot, we don't have to do it. But those who want to go to the higher echelons are welcome to do it, which I did. There is a big connection between diet, health, mind function, anger, and self-control. I wanted to develop greater self-control. much greater self-control. And I mean this sincerely when I say this, and I'm extremely grateful to everybody at the GCC, but especially Joel, and much more so than anybody else, is probably Colin. It is Colin. Because Colin mirrored what I did. I mirrored what Colin did. And we spent God knows how many days, nights, hours rethinking our rethoughts, re-engaging, and doing it over and over again. If you think it wasn't well worth the exercise, you would be wrong, because it has developed our minds much quicker, much faster. We may not have the right retorts for each other, depending on the objective of our conversations, but we have developed the mind, the brain, the capacity, and we can use that. We can put more in there quickly, and we can go further. So I went into this, I wanted to lose some weight. Physically, I was slightly overweight, which was slowing me down. Mentally, I wanted to be the same weight I was in my 20s, because that's the best weight I ever was. Quicker, faster, agile. I could go anywhere, anytime I wanted to. I didn't worry about what I ate, what I didn't eat. I didn't listen to people who told me, eat this, eat that, have some more. I kept my diet to what I thought was the ideal. And over the years, I started being polite and not wanting to upset people, going into places of worship, and they would prepare food and have to show willing. Some days we would visit 3 different places of worship, and all of them would have food ready. And it didn't look good if you didn't have a bite to eat and a cup of tea. And by the time we got on the coach back home, I'd be bloated. So I spent 3 months detoxifying the proper way. No eating. Minimum 10 hours every day is required to start reducing the sugar level, the fat level in the body. Anything below 10 hours, the liver just doesn't get the instruction from the brain. We need more sugar, glucose, get some of that fat, start producing sugar. So go 10, 12 hours every day or more, and control. Don't keep running to the cupboard. Don't keep taking cans out or making sandwiches. Have some water, have some coffee. Have some coffee without sugar if you can stand it, but a little sugar is all right. And that led to much better control. It also meant I was much more isolated, because I didn't particularly want to engage with people as to what I was doing, why I wasn't eating, and no talking. Apart from Joel and those 3 girls and the kids here and their dad, and maybe out at the shops, bank, the doctor, the dentist, there was no talking. It was only essential talking. And I was capturing each and every silly thought, deep thought that I had. Where are you going with this? You sound off topic. No, I'm not off topic, Joel, but thanks for the reminder. So we've had one practice at holding our breath. The second practice is voice. As Joshua will remember, some years ago, I did do some of giving the voice to clear the mind, to capture whatever is happening thereafter. Anybody interested in giving voice?
Yeah.
Great. I will start. We just use a simple sound, any simple sound like ah, o, e, anyone. I'll go with the A, ah. Take a deep breath. All those who want to have a practice, please do so now. If you could refrain from comments about others doing their practices or other sessions, please leave it out. Just comment on what we're doing here. So those who have given voice, how do you feel about it?
I like when it's in harmony.
Right. Are you likely to do it on your own?
I've never done it on my own.
Will you do it on your own is the question.
I will try.
You want to do it again now, together?
As you do it, with your conscious focus, move it to the center of your head and pay attention to what effectively is your sensory perceptions from the vibration of your voice.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Joel. So we do it again and we pay attention to what it's doing to us.
Together? Or do you want us to turn off our mics and do it individually?
On three, together with the mics on.
Okay.
Please. 1.
Great, great.
Sorry.
Deep breath, take a deep breath. Here comes 3. Relax, feel. Feel the silence. Listen to the silence. Daisy, could I have your what you think of that, please?
Yeah. So I do this a lot, but usually I don't, like when Joel said do it from the head, I don't usually do that, but I did this time to try it. Usually I do it and I feel it more in my chest area, and it usually helps me release whatever anxiety or whatever random thoughts I have, and it helps me to center.
Great. Now there are about 5 vowels and a couple of consonants which are very good at this. And the whole idea behind giving voice is to feel the vibration of your own voice, get to know your own voice, practice, and project it through your body. You can use it as your own sonar, as your own echo, to look at your own body. Feel your own body. So the next one I'd like to move on to is the slightly deeper version of the daydreaming. And this one is the mental one, where we bring our attention to focus. Normally we focus it either on the top lip or in front of the forehead. In either case, We spend some time in silence, bringing into focus. And then once we have it in focus, we can then direct that attention, that consciousness to again feel ourselves silently. We can take it through our body, through our mind, or we can just listen to it. So what we'll do is we'll go into as comfortable a position as possible. Nice. Nice. Relax, guys. Put your hand down and relax. Get comfortable. Hello, Alex. Looks like Thais is switched off. Okay. Sam's not here. Joshua, can you hear me? No. Okay. Colin? Thank you. So all we're going to do is close our eyes very gently, open and reclose gently. No pressure. Breathe. Couple of deep breaths. And then go into nice, even breathing and relax. Readjust your position, relax. And just let the breath flow. This is a favorite one of the Buddhists, is to then focus on the breath going in and out on the top lip and the nose, the bridge. And as you do that, relax even more and more. Keep readjusting. You start becoming conscious of yourself, your body, and your mind. You feel yourself relaxing from your toes all the way up to the middle. Keep checking your eyes, make sure they're gentle. Make sure you take the tension out of your neck. Nice and relaxed. Relax your head from the top all the way down the arms, the torso to the middle. Now you're relaxed from top to toe. Nice even breathing, and start concentrating your consciousness. Feel the breath going in. This slight temperature difference as it comes out. Ignore all the noises and sounds you can hear around you. Keep your voice working and your ears open. And relax more and more. It's a very simple script. It's a self-relaxation inducing consciousness bearing script. So this is the you that we don't see, the consciousness, the essence. We're trying to bring that to attention so we can feel that, the essence, feel the essence. As you feel the essence, relax more and more, and go deeper. And if you can start bringing it forward and into focus in front of your eyes, that's even better. Even if it's only a big dark spot, whatever it is, if you can bring it in front of your face, in front of your eyes, at whatever distance, normally about 12 to 18 inches, bring it to bear. And once you have something or you don't have something, even if it's completely dark, just open your eyelids ever so slightly, extremely a millimeter or two. Keeping relaxed, keeping breathing, and keep your eyelids where they are. Open. You're not joining us, Colin. Oh, thank you for your presence. Much appreciated. Whatever it is you feel, whatever it is you see, you don't see, you're getting some sort of an inkling. Again, this one, anybody can practice anytime on your own, before bedtime, after breakfast, anywhere, anytime. You're on a journey, on a bus, coach, train, aeroplane. You can stay awake in this state. I'll count backwards from 5 and ask everybody to come back gently. 5, 4, 3, halfway there, 2. Deep breath. 1. Very gently open your eyes and come back. Anybody getting any tingling feeling? Anybody getting any feeling? Glenn?
Peaceful feeling. Relief.
Sorry, Glenn, do you have more to say?
Well, it began with the sound. That was immediately like a release of tension. Just very, very peaceful to just sit here and relax.
Good. So we've had 2 techniques there, which are the basis of almost all the other techniques, including sound. So you can do sound meditation, which is either listening to or singing, which are both very good. The essence here is to relax the body completely so that the mind becomes free. And it itself can listen to itself. silly as it sounds, that's what we do. Every day, every minute, every second, we jabber away because it's so enjoyable. All we're doing is exploring that joy in silence. Now, the last one we did was at the start of the deep meditation. The sages and the sadhus get into, and they go into a deep sleep while still awake. They keep their ears open, and some of them might even keep their voice open so they can speak spoken to. And they go deep inside. Deep inside is the repository of memories that we can explore. Big room full of memory bits and pieces. Who said what, where, when, why, what was my reply, what should I do about it next time? But this time we do all that conditions which are peace conditions. This is the route to being peaceable. This is the route where two people can come, sit down and say, I'd like to meditate with you. And you say, what level? I want to do an eye-to-eye meditation. Or we can look deep into each other's eyes, cease blinking, relax. Or didn't want to do that. Would you like to do that, Joel?
Okay.
Alex, you have something to say, or do you want to do that meditation?
Regarding this tingling, you mentioned that tingling sensation.
Yeah.
And I get this impression in my ears, in my body, and in my cortex.
Right.
It's like, you know, when a cell is vibrating, every cell vibrates very slightly.
Yeah.
And if you amplify, that makes a sound. If you amplify that sound by millions of cells, you get this noise.
I'm glad you said that, because the next thing is that if you vary the pitch and the tone, you can feel different parts of your body vibrating at different pitch and tone. And then if you keep practicing, you can get the one that you can drive straight through the top of your head. You're vibrating your brain material. And that's an excellent one. So we can do that with practice. And I've been practicing for years, so I really do enjoy those. And muscle tension, you can practice getting that out of your body with vibration, your own.
We used to do our meditation with medication.
Yeah. So I'm just going to practice with Joel here. And we're just going to look deep into each other's eyes while remaining silent and composed and breathing. There's nothing to fear when you look deep into anybody's eyes. It's one of the most loving meditations ever, is to allow somebody to probe your mind. And it is a probe, because we don't like eye-to-eye contact, because we know we're being probed. Ready when you are, Joel?
Right.
You have to look right into your camera.
Thank you. Now, at about this stage, you might start feeling your eyes are getting dry and a little coarse, maybe. Or your eyelids want to blink. This is where the self-control comes in, is to keep them open, keep staring. At the same time, we want to relax the focus.
Lost connection again.
Your gaze was too powerful.
Joel won the icon award. I thought he posted an icon on his page there.
Pretty.
That was actually the first time I've tried to not blink. That was very interesting.
Try not to not swallow is the harder part.
That's also hard, yeah.
Eventually it just climbs upon you. Or try not to breathe too fast. I attempt to do 4 breath cycles in a minute in meditation. It's just...
The reason I apply my thoughts to my muscle groups as I do the breathing cycles is because that concentration on the muscle groups, relaxing and tensing and relaxing, it clears the mind. It takes your concentration away from the future and the past, whatever's going on in that department. And at the end of 20 minutes, you're so peaceful and relaxed. You know, it's an awakening. It's like a new experience if you haven't tried it before.
Yeah, you can drive yourself insane with your own thoughts, building up your own anxiety. And we're all going to be anxious in the right situations, but we can effectively just torture ourselves with it rather than going with the flow, as many people like to say. Has he lost the room or something?
Well, the room is still here.
Has Sam gone out?
I don't see Jeff.
Yeah, he's been kicked off again. He's had bad internet connection all day.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yes. He shows me as a co-host now. I have
practice this session with Uncle after our meeting get over. Every day. Every day you practiced with him.
Yes.
Why didn't you tell us?
Well, you go to bed.
Okay. Tomorrow I'll do this.
Oh. We don't practice meditation every day. When we both practice meditation separately, we're kind of at different levels in different ways.
But today Uncle is telling something different and it's very interesting. I'm enjoying it.
We've been trying to get your understanding up in the Garumph. Some of it's in there, you know.
What?
Some of the meditation's in the Garumph. If you want to know more, we can teach you more. Just remind us. You know what we can be like.
Shall we just keep meditating until Jaswinder reappears?
So Alex was just talking about using his muscle groups. That's another really good meditation that many don't use, is that you can change where your focus is in your body, from just the very tip of your finger to your whole hand to all over your arm at the same time. But the level of detail you get depends on how great an area you focus on. So just focusing on the very tip of your finger, you get a wider picture of what you're looking at than if you was to try and look at your finger and your whole arm. Obviously, you're just making the picture bigger, so your focus can't be as defined.
Yeah.
I'm going to admit Jazz now. I just admitted him.
What you just mentioned there, Joel, I've been practicing that a lot, going through the whole body. sometimes focusing on small areas and then expanding.
Mixing meditation with yoga.
Okay, sorry about that. The internet dropped out. Children switched it off. The little one. Never mind. So moving on, we're going to mantra meditation. Anybody want to say anything or any questions before we move on to mantra meditation?
Well, I just mentioned that this was the first time I've tried to not close my eyes. And
right.
That was very interesting.
Great. When you say very interesting, can you elaborate on that somewhat?
Well, I was sort of behind my eyes, and the focus. I mean, it became more spread around somehow. Well, I was just focusing on your eye actually, but still, it was like I was behind the eyes and just seeing the landscape.
Most people
quietly.
Great. More practice. Excellent.
Most people, when they look through their eyes, they stay focused on the center part of their eyes. And because we don't teach people how to use their eyes as well as we could, nobody learns that you can move your focus in your eyes back a little tiny bit. And instead of being focused on the main point of your eyesight, you become focused on the surrounding part of your eyesight, your peripheral vision. And in that is a different level of perception to what is in your focal point. Like if you was to look outside at night, if you can look out your peripheral vision slightly sideways, somewhere around, you might find someone who's got an infrared security sensor. If you look straight at it, you won't see it. But then if you look at a sideways glance, you'll see a little reddish green flash as the sensor's kicking out its pulses to detect. And when you first see it, you kind of feel yourself crazy. Did I just see that? And you look straight at it. And of course, because you're now not using your peripheral vision again, it's gone from your focus and your sight. But then you look to the side again and it flashes. And this is why some people get tricked by what they're doing. They don't understand they're seeing from two different parts of their perception from their eyes.
Yeah. Hello, Bill. Sorry. Carry on.
How many of us are aware that the image that's projected through our eye lens arrives at the back of the eye on the optical nerves upside down? And by the time it reaches the brain, it's still upside down, and the brain works it out by flipping it back up to the correct position.
That black dot that Jazz was talking about earlier in your eyesight, that's a dot in your eyesight that you don't actually have. Somewhere around that distance where your eye nerves connect into the back of your head, you don't actually have the eye sensors there. And so your brain fills in the image. But you can find it if you just sort of
use a dot. Mm-hmm.
Barry.
Yeah.
The blind spot.
And the periphery is good at picking up motion.
Yeah. Was that you speaking, Paul?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to have a quick word with the Sethi sisters. If I can find them.
It was the N.
Hello, girls. Are you enjoying it so far?
Yes,
Very nice,
Uncle.
Thank you so much.
So great of you.
Okay, good. Do you have anything to say?
Yes, this session, and especially what you are talking about and the eyes contact. No, it was amazing, Uncle Ji.
Good.
Yeah, I will try with my sister. I was keep on trying, like with Gulleen and Harsheen, that how can I have this meditation through eyes?
Try it with the dog sometime.
Yeah, sure. My
What
spark,
about you,
yes.
Darlene? Sorry?
You're saying to try with Spark, my dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? He has a soul. Darlene, what about you?
Uncle, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
And I will practice this eye contact meditation. That was lovely.
Good. Well, I think the next one we're going to try now is probably going to be the mantra meditation. If see how many are interested in a mantra meditation. Now, our voice and our breath, those are two centers which can be occupied together. And that leaves another center a little less occupied. And all the time we have to bear in mind the one we're looking for is the one that's hiding constantly. And it doesn't reveal itself easily, so we have to look for the signs and eventually capture it and bring it, allow it to come forth. It's very shy. Mantra. Well, you can have any mantra you like. All religions have their own mantras. Muslims have Allahu, Christians have Maranatha, the Sikhs have Vaheguru. The Buddhists, they prefer to do the silent one, the one we just did. No? Somebody want to speak?
The Krishnas have the Hari Rama.
Yeah, the Hare Krishna.
Krishnas, the Hindus do Hari Rama, Hare Hare, Ram Ram. They have a number of them. What's the one? The most preferred one is
Mani Padme Hum.
Om, the Om sound. I'll demonstrate the Om because it's supposedly one of the oldest mantras. I'm not sure. I'll just take the word for it because we go back to Christianity, the pre-Christianity, the Abrahamics, they have their mantras going back 4,000-6,000 years. And so do some of the other religions from that, monotheistic religions from that site. And I don't know about the pre-monotheistic. They must have had their own mantras. So the Om is thus. Again, deep breath. Thank you, Paul. Magical. I'll do the Allahu if you'd like to hear that. It is pretty much as it sounds. There's two ways of doing this. One is straight out. All of these can be done two ways, and the other one is just to breathe, make the noise, half the noise breathing in and half the noise breathing out. So I'll do the straight one first, which is Allahu, 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 Allahu. And the other one is this way. Allahu, 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 Allahu.
Almost sounds like they got it from an owl.
I don't know. They have other mantras as well. all religions do not give out their mantras till the person decides to become baptized, and at the baptismal ceremony, they get the common mantra, and then there are other mantras as they go up the spiritual scale. So they have to be, their behavior has to have certain attributes in place before they become acceptable. My thought currently in the West is that our schooling system, which is about 70, 75 years old, at least in the West, post-World War II, it's a byproduct, it's a very good byproduct of World War II, in that all Western governments and all world governments came to realize all children should have at least 9 years of education. So when the people say war has no uses, it has its uses, they're hidden. And this was one of the best things that happened in 1944. The UK passed an act of parliament, all children from 5 to 14, 5 to 15, 5 to 14, then 15 have education. Then you're going to 16 and now it's up to 18. And then is obviously university. Morality is taught at school. It may not be acceptable to us generally or particularly according to our own beliefs, but general morality is taught, good and bad is taught, behavior, how to be respectful. Whether it's to our liking, I don't know. We have our own personal preferences. In Sikhi and in the Eastern parts, respect and treating the elders with great courtesy is one of the biggest things, and personal morality. And personal morality and general morality should be one and the same. In the West, it's not, posing a lot of problems. So, on to the next mantra, Maranatha. Again, you can do it. Maranatha. Basically meaning, may the Lord be with you. Maranatha, 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 Maranatha. Or Maranatha, 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 Maranatha. The Sikh one is 4 syllables again, very good. Wondrous is the Lord, the dark and the light. Vaheguru, yeah. Va, wondrous, Ha is Gu, darkness, Ru, light. Guru, Guru, Guru. As you can see, I've been practicing that one more than the others. Just happens that way. Guru, Guru, Waheguru, 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 Waheguru. These are to be practiced with each and every breath. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, constantly. First 6 months to a year, do them out loud so they become embedded. And then go silent mode, which is internal. And then you can do the external, internal every time and everywhere you feel like it. Something like they should be at all times, including when you're eating. So you bring to bear your concentration, your oneness on what you're doing. Be present in the moment by occupying other parts of your brain which interfere constantly. And you start listening and getting an inkling of your deeper self, the one you're really looking for, the very shy thing, the one that's pushing the buttons on the memory systems and telling you what to do and say. And if those answers that you have stored are not achieving what you desire, then you just need to change those answers. They are not you. They're not part of you. They're just stored in you from various sources. Some of them highly trusted sources, not necessarily accurate or right. Having placed one's trust in a source, it's difficult to let go because it then sort of undermines the self. You're not that self. Those things come and go. We want the ones which are most effective for what you want. Whatever that is. Hitler has his own set. Napoleon had his own set. Churchill, everybody. And this is the essence of the Western individual. Because we think differently. Because we store different answers, retorts. And we are what we say. What we say is what we do. What we think may not come to fruition, especially if we don't talk about it, it just stays there. Somebody highly enlightened who can think something into being. Normally we think it, say it, share it, and try and bring it into existence. You can try that one. Go into a bank and think. Stand in the middle of the bank and think, I could rob this easily, but don't speak it. And then one day, say it out loud. I could rob this bank easily. And more than likely, you'll be escorted out, at the very least, or detained and questioned. So, giving voice to an idea is the first step in getting that idea into some sort of fruition. Sharing that idea with more and more people, you bring more and more people on board who have the same idea or come to have the same idea, and you form a group. From groups grow countries. From countries we have wars of ideology. There are 6 currently big ideologies running. Eventually we'll be down to 1.
Amen on that.
You can put whatever man on that. It's the woman who'll bring the peace because she's the peacemaker.
A woman too.
And there are very few women who have ever achieved enlightenment, and the question is why? Because they are the shy ones. And now we have conditions which they can enjoy in relative safety and stand for government without fear of rape and all other actions which stopped them previously, without let and hindrance. So they will sit in the councils, in the committees, in the Senate, and talk of babies. When a baby comes into a house, Colin will know this one. Everything revolves around the baby. The whole household can't make a noise, can't do this. Baby needs to be fed, napping needs to be changed. I want to hold it. I want to play with it. Oh, isn't it cute? The most adorable, loving thing has come into the house, a gift. And by the time it's in his teens, we've ruined it. By the time it's in its teens, it should be a loving, giving creature. Peace takes more work than war. War is easy. It has a definitive kind of action to it. Deadlines, meet them. 6 weeks for basic treatment, 6 weeks for specialization, 3 months in getting your specialization up to standard, then you're posted. You get to your unit, you find, well, we don't need you to do that, son, but we want you to do that one instead. Okay. Two years later, you're back home. Whoa, was that a trip or what? A year later, you want to go again? Do I have to? Yeah, of course you do. This one, peacemakers, you stay where you are if you're bad. If you're good, you go out and spread peace because you're going to go and do work and spread peace. If you don't spread peace, you don't need to go anywhere. You don't go out and feed people. You don't go out and say prayers. You don't go and meet a meeting and say, I've got something special for you. And that's about all I'm going to do for today. It's 17:31, half an hour, 29 minutes to close of session, and I'm going to be quiet and have my coffee. I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Welcome, Paul. Welcome everybody who came and those who didn't.
Jazz, you ended about 14 minutes early.
Well,
How long does Raras take?
I can talk more. I just don't feel the need for it. Good place to stop.
No, I'm not going to ask you to see Raras goes.
Gives us time to go around the room and see if there's anybody with the thoughts.
I'm sorry, Alex.
The following way.
Can you say that again, Alex?
Might I rephrase it myself?
Sam,
let me try to do it.
Yeah.
So I would turn on my camera, except for now it's not turning on. So I got to figure what's going on. But I've got my voice here, and it looks like the device demons are out again, affected Jaswinder and me. Okay, yeah. So the question is first, question to Jaswinder. Number one, what was your focus in a concise statement? And then number two, did you achieve that focus, again, in a concise summary? And then number three, how would you actually have done it differently now that you've gone through it for an hour and 15 minutes, if at all? In other words, were the things that came up as you did this that you thought, next time I do this, I'm going to do it a different way? So those three questions are what I'm curious about.
Last one first, more audience participation. They're very shy. First one next. I have no idea. I shall wait and see what the comments are and what happens in the next 2 weeks. And what was the middle one?
Was it a cheat?
The first one was, what did you attempt to bring as the focus in a short?
I want to bring two things to the world. The first one is to make way for the most important one. First one is to have people who are willing to learn to be much better than they are right now, so that they can spread peace by joining groups where people who want to spread peace do so, to decrease hunger, to decrease dependency on people who are needy. And all it takes is just a little more effort. And there are organizations who are crying out for more and more people to come and join them, to be of service. There's not a lot of money in it, but there's the satisfaction of being extremely useful, the satisfaction of seeing people alive because you made the effort to go somewhere and feed them, get up 4 o'clock in the morning and cook breakfast, whatever it takes. And at the end of the day, you're plumb tuckered out, but it's so enjoyable, and that's the biggest reward you can have. There's a static noise coming online. Somebody's blowing into a mic or something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I reset my devices, so that might have introduced some noise into the session, but at least the camera works now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So sorry about that. There was a momentary glitch. Okay, so I have a series of questions for each of the participants and then more questions for the group of us. So I'd like for each of the participants to consider the following small number of questions. Number one, did you get something out of it? And if so, what did you get out of this session? Number two, were there times that you wanted to do something, but you did not? Or was there something that you wanted to do during the session, but there wasn't an opportunity? So just those two questions for now. And I'm just looking at the way my tiles are arranged. So I'm just gonna name people in order of my tiles. So Glenn.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, did you get something out of it? And if so, what? Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a lot. Took a little while to get into it at the beginning, but when we did the sound thing, that really kind of opened it up for me. And then when Jaswinder and Joel did the eyes, I tried to focus on an eye and not close my eyes. And it occurred to me I'd never actually tried that before, to not blink. And that was very interesting because I experienced being behind my own gaze, so to say, and seeing a more wide horizon rather than being focused, which was strange because I actually was focused in the physical sense, completely focused on one point with my gaze. But experientially, it felt like a widening of the attention. And I mean, I also, it also came to me that I would want to experiment more with sound. I have a lot of experience in silent meditation and just sort of, and also focusing on I am, but and I've done a little bit of mantra, but it feels like I should probably do some more of that. Some of these sounds, like the Aum sound, it's through the whole body. It's really quite an amazing thing. I sing quite a lot, but just really going into that whole Aum sound, Om sound, that especially feels like something I would want to do more of, because it's just a wonderful thing, really. And the second question, something you wanted to do, I think that's pretty much it. I probably wanted to do more of that.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. You're a newcomer, but Paul, your experience.
Yeah, thank you. Well, what keeps going on in my head, and it may not be exactly what you wanted me to get out of this or thought maybe I could, but I've known we've had so many senses in our body, but each sense can focus in a different area, meaning our 5 senses can multiply to almost an infinite number of inputs into our awareness. And trying to pay attention to those individually, a very mammoth task. We all know how hard it is to increase our awareness. And that brought to my attention how difficult it is, but how helpful. The saying that said, when one member of the body hurts, the whole body hurts, came to my attention while we were meeting this morning, in that our sensors, our sensory systems send us information that is automated over as many years as we've been in existence. And every one of those is meant to tell us something. So by being aware and to pay attention to it, we can think about that for a minute. If one member of the body hurts, should we ignore it or should we attend to it so that the whole body does not hurt? And those thoughts were coming to me. How amazing the human body is, how we are a big collector of information and a big, incredible transmitter of information. Unfortunately, all of our transmissions are only what we understand, and as they're received by others, it comes into their reception as a form of chaos. And getting on the same wavelength is kind of, you know, somehow aligning through tonal resonances and being aware of various things can help us be more in community somehow. There's so much to learn from being aware of each sense.
Thanks, Paul.
And they develop at different rates. And the one thing I would like to say at this point is when you're asleep, all your senses are shut off, or are they? Which ones are still working? Ascertain that one, Paul. I'm complete.
Okay, next in my tile is Joel.
Yeah. Well, I've watched you all as we were meditating, and so I can see how some people weren't putting any true effort in, and actually could see how their emotion in the moment was changing how they could perceive. So it's interesting. I got to see how a lack of willingness to even try or to be frustrated in the moment will prevent you from being able to meditate. Do something differently. Maybe talk more. I can add quite a lot when it comes to meditation and sensory perception. What was the third one again?
Well, there was just two questions, really. What did you get out of it? I guess you were doing more a meta observation as opposed to just the experience from Jaswinder, perhaps?
I try to meditate always now. You learn a lot as you do everything. I mean, I long learned how to use a digger. And I found the more I intentionally focused on all my sensory inputs, driving it, the quicker I learned. In fact, in the space of 2 days, because I purely focused on what I was doing and forced my concentration onto how the arms were moving, I realized overnight I pretty jumped in skill of the operation. So now, even when I'm watching people trying to study, I try to meditate while doing it and really focus in. So watching Jazz teach you guys, it gave me the opportunity to see how a group of different spectrums of people would interact with that. It was interesting.
Okay, thanks, Joel. Alex.
Mike's.
You're on mute.
Sorry. There was a time when I meditated frequently every morning. And that was 20 years ago, and I've been doing it since, on and off. And it was so novel in the beginning. I was recovering from alcoholism, getting sober, living sober. And it was a novel experience because it was something I had never done before in my life. It was freeing and great. But as the years wore on, it became part of the course, something that was natural to do. And that's what I got out of the session with Jaswinder, was that if I remain focused, I can help relieve my mind of discriminatory thoughts, the discrimination is caused by biases, inner biases in my thinking process. And they're dampened by the meditation because the freeing up the mind makes more conscious space. It creates space. It's like being in a crowded square and all people all around you, buildings all around you, and then meditating and slowly watching that crowd dissipate until there's only a few people around you and most of the buildings are gone. You can see the hills, you can see the countryside and see the trees because you've created space. And that's what I was doing, attempting to achieve that in my mind. And it takes practice.
Yeah.
Yep. Over.
What you can do, Alex, is
Thanks,
go
Alex.
into a, sorry, if I just interject for a moment, go into a crowded plaza, shopping center, stand in the middle of the throng, take a deep breath and breathe on top and just listen. And the sound will change and your perception will change. It's an excellent way of just picking up on the nuances of what the crowd is doing and what they're feeling. I'm complete.
Okay, next in my tile group is Barry.
Thank you, Sam. The first thing that I noticed was the difference between audible meditation and silent meditation. I found that I'm used to silent meditation, and that audible meditation, whether it's a vocalization or a mantra, distracts from the function of the meditation. So for me, the silent one was the one that worked and the audible ones were distracting. And similarly for eyes open and eyes closed. I generally meditate not only silently, but with my eyes closed. In fact, I'm basically napping for all intents and purposes. And when I tried the two exercises with eyes open, either blank staring into the distance, 1,000-yard stare, that was weird. It didn't feel very realistic or very meditative. Like my eyes were glazing over, like I was just not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be paying attention to. And the other one was the looking somebody straight in the eyes up close. That was really weird because what it reminded me of was a scene in Little Big Man, the movie with Dustin Hoffman. And at the beginning of the movie, he's practicing with his sister, and they're doing that. They're staring into each other's eyes. But the line in the movie is, "Go snake eyes." And so you put your arm straight down at your side, you look straight at the other person's eyes and you go, and it's very intimidating. It's not peaceable at all. And I have done that. I have looked somebody straight in the eyes when they were being hostile, and it was not peaceable. It was simply echoing the hostility, the enmity. So looking somebody straight in the eyes, I find, is a very intimidating practice. I can do that, but it's intimidating.
Curious. Tees.
Yeah, nothing. Well, I was not so much active in the beginning, so the breathing was nice. So, and so it did not let me distract by the meditation things. So I was doing what I like to do. So I kept my mind functioning. I didn't stop thinking on other things. So, and I had my camera shut because I was in my own world.
I lost the tail bit of that. I think you went mute early. Anyway, okay, thanks, Tees. Stacy.
So I felt very connected, but I felt a sense of integration in the group, even with those who weren't actively participating. I still felt a connection to them. So it was not distracting. Like I felt like everything was in its place and there was nothing to distract. That's the best way I could describe it.
Thank you. Colin.
This is a reminder.
Yeah. You got a reminder?
It's telling me to take my medications.
Yeah, I felt it was very focused because it was announced, and I like that kind of a thing. And I've done this with jazz before, so I had a little bit of what to expect. And I do think Sam made a good point that there's different ways to meditate, and I'm really I don't know what sense of joy I feel that Glenn's never tried to keep his eyes open before. That just seems to make me never. But you know,
without blinking, I meant.
Yeah.
In longer periods of time.
Yeah, no, that's really neat. So, but yeah, there are many ways to meditate, and I find that this is a difficult topic for me in this forum, unless we're focused on the topic of this. And I felt that the things that were, you know, my personal slant on these things weren't so important to interject during the process, because that would just distract from what, you know, jazz was trying to do. Although I almost failed at the beginning. Jazz wanted to know and asked me a question that was kind of funny. I thought that we were talking in third, first, second, and fifth person because it is about the mindfulness. And that's what Eckhart Tolle was saying when he, you can look it up, I put it in the chat, when he's explaining this, the moment where you ask yourself, well, who am I? Well, who are the I you're talking about? And so Eckhart's going through that, and they come to the idea that it might be the one who's listening, that who I am. And so anyway, when you're making vocal mantra, you definitely are listening. There's a feedback, vibration. It's a whole. And I get that sometimes with doing art, with music and stuff. And Glenn says with singing. So there is that that magic in sound for sure. But as an atheist, I had a hard time of trying to find. I think I'll go with or Om. I think it is Om, and that's also the unit of resistance for electrical things. So that's pretty good. But you know, I do find that the first time Jazz and I did it, it was even more miraculous than this time. This time I got a message for Sam, but the time before, Jazz disappeared. I woke up and Jazz was gone. We must have meditated, for 10 minutes or more, maybe 15. And then, you know, I was expecting to be brought back out, and I think we started to come out. And then as soon as we come out, he was like gone. And I think that's because we were on somebody else's Zoom account, so we had no control over it. But yeah, we had no follow-up from that, which was interesting. So it was good to experience today, to have more follow-up on that. And another thing that struck me, well, the message I got that broke me out of it was a message for Sam. It was to try to control the copies is to be like God, right? Because it's this sin of copying, right? So to try to have that much power over the copies, I don't know where that came from, but it's been kind of mulling around, and where's the data and which is the valid source that we can pull together and say that's the data we want. So and I also had an interesting experience when the motorcycle went by, because I think it was in London, but it felt like it was some mystical place here, like where we were sharing the same motorcycle. And same thing with the ambulance. You know, I guess it's a feeling of togetherness, where the actual detail isn't as important as the experience. And I guess in movies they can do that. they make sound in motion. As long as the motion isn't off by a certain amount, it's believable, and you feel like you're actually there, like to fool the senses, I think. But the sound has to be more exact. Anyway, so there's a lot of interesting things within here, and I'm glad Jazz was able to do it today within a focused format. And I don't know where he wants to take it, but I wish him all the best with it. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Colin.
If I can have a moment, Sam. The mystical power, regardless of what Sam said, is the newborn baby. It doesn't matter where it's born, what parents it has. You can take that baby anywhere in the world and it will grow up in that culture believing that that's where it belongs. And who's responsible for that mystical power? That is the ultimate question that we need to address. What are we? How are we training our babies for the future? I'm complete.
Okay, thanks. Nancy, you and your sisters.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, it was a great experience for me. I really enjoyed the session, and the participation was really worth to me, as it gave me a great peace, and it really helps me to focus on myself. How can I bring self-discipline in me? It also gave me the information about the mantras of other religions as well. I just come to know about the other religions and their cultures, and how sounds have a great impact on us. We can know our inner being. I mean, we keep on seeing others, but this session helped me to see my deeper in, to listen to the inner voice to which most of us ignoring all the time. It's exactly that inner voice. And the thing which I like to do more is what he said, that what I want to do is that eye meditation. That was really awesome, that I like the most. And it's the one thing which can help us, this meditation is a thing which can help us here and hereafter. This is the voice which we want to hear, which we want to listen. It's continuously going on in our inner, but we are not listening to it. We are not focusing. So that's the great benefit which I got, from this session. And I'm very glad that I have participated. And Jaswinder Uncle-ji, I'm really very, very I'm very, very thankful to you. God bless you that you have given me an opportunity to join this meeting, to listen to the great, the things which you said. It was amazing. It's awesome. And above all, it helps me to control on my body, mind, and senses. It was, more than a congregation for me. So thank you all. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
And Nancy, would your sisters like to add anything to that?
Say what she said. I feel that in this session, I learned how to focus on the sounds because Joel also said me that when you're washing the utensils, listen to the water sound that I used to ignore further. But from now onwards, I will concentrate the sounds around me. Yeah. And I will learn that eye contact meditation. I think it's weird, but yeah, it's good also because I feel very shy. But now onwards, I think this thing will be removed from my side and it will help me also. Thank you, Jaswinder Uncle, for telling me how to do the eye contact. Thank you so much, and helping me in interacting with so many people and listening to their thoughts and their questions. They really helped me out. So this session was really lovely and with the lovely people. Thank you so much, everyone.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
And there's one more sister, is there not?
Yeah. Actually, she's a little bit now feeling not well. So that's why she's left.
Not required. I just wanted to give an opportunity if she wanted to say something.
Sorry.
Okay. And Josh, are you still there? Did you want to share anything? 2001, 2002, 2003. There he is. No? No. Okay. I just have one more thing to add, and that is the vocalization reminded me and took me back when I used to play music very, very regularly. Is that when you play an instrument, you know, your body reverberates along with the instrument. And singing is one way, but an instrument is definitely another way. And I think that that is something I definitely miss, that reverberation with my violin, because, you know, violin is my instrument. So anyway, I will go back and do that some more. My last question is for everybody. And it's a very general question. It takes us into what Colin sometimes calls the after show, but it's the extension of the planned festivities, which is, did this session help you, help us, do any co-visioning, do any sense-making, do any co-creation, do any agreements, do any collaboration, and do any more community building? That would be my open-ended question to you. How would you take what you got out of this session and apply it in the way that I just asked? And with that, this is now a completely open session, and I will not be moderating. Anybody else can step in if you want, but it could be moderator-less. Okay?
And we are all connected more than we were 2 hours ago. We know each other just enough, just a little bit. And that's more than we did before, because we met and we talked and we got on the same wavelength.
Yeah, I feel that too. That it's mostly like the connection is better. It's like the connection between people and the felt sense of community gets a lift from something like this. So it's more on that level. Yeah,
like kind of like playing along, you know, playing along, letting Jazz was being a leader and where we were kind of going for the most part. So you can lean into that kind of a thing, and it does feel like you're, you know, what you do at recess when you're kids, right? Got to do something.
We're much more likely to ask each other questions now that we've seen each other and heard each other, whereas before, maybe not so much.
I liked in session that about the mantras, different mantras of different religion. I will practice now that mantras also. I was only practicing only Vaheguru mantra, but now this session tell me that you can learn and practice so many mantras, and they will give you peace.
Actually, I'm kind of curious. Was this the first encounter with meditation for anyone? No, right? So you've all had previous encounters with meditation.
I have to say, I've done the eye thing, and I don't think Zoom can do it justice.
I agree with you. I think the eye thing is dangerous. You do that long enough, you're going to fall in love.
We are in love.
Or not.
Yeah, we are. Actually, in this world, you know, we are more into the feeling of hatred for each other. So this meditation, yes, of course, we get to know how to love each other. So that's what the God wants from us, that we should love his, you know, creation. We should love each other.
I think that's an interesting method, right? If you can get your enemy to come close enough to eye gaze for 20 minutes, you know.
No, I think if you can get
ultimate sign of civility is being civil with your enemy.
We know we are all human beings, and there's less fear and less unknown and more love.
Wouldn't that be more ubiquitous?
Kind of.
The interface, like the eyes, the eye contact, and the eyes windows to the soul. It's like the interface between living entities. So when you've got somebody's eye contact attention, at least you know they're focused on you, and that's ego building. So that's probably what produces the endorphins, Alba.
But you know, I think you can do that with your ears as well. If you get close together and you just sit together and close your eyes and just listen to each other.
Yes.
There's a connection there too.
It makes sense. Touch, taste, sight, feel, hearing, it all connects us.
Comes back to the presencing, yeah.
Yeah.
What's different about any of those things? Nothing really. They're all the same thing operating on a different level.
Different frequencies, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the eyes thing is different. I think that in order to be able to do the eye thing, you have to trust enough to let it's not you coming, that's the trust part. It's allowing somebody to really see inside your eyes. That takes a lot more trust, for me at least, than to just be to just be listening to somebody.
Actually, I should mention that when I was younger, I had a lot of problems with eye contact. I would look away, but then I was something like 16 years ago, I began in this group where we do meditation, basically, of various kinds. And when we had these meetings, they would just look me straight in the eye, like really. So then I just got used to it. And after that, it's been a lot easier. But obviously, it's very different over Zoom. Yeah.
Interesting that you say that, Glenn, because I got to the US when I was about 5.5, almost 6. And there weren't very many Asians, definitely no Taiwanese where we moved. And then I went to, and that was Bay Area. Then we went to Baltimore, then we went to Albuquerque, and there are definitely 0 Asians in Albuquerque. You know, there may have been one other than our family, okay? So I remember going to school and going to, I don't know, anyway, we're walking down the street. Nobody ever met a gaze. 0. I never remember any eye contact. And I actually saw it. I would look people, I would try and, say hi, but there was very, 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 I'm not even going to say very little. There was 0 eye contact. People were trying to not look at me walking down the street or in the hallway at school. It's a very interesting change to observe. Actually, it's not that long ago that people started, meeting eye contact. Even in the early days, in my early 20s, when I was working.
I think that can be very cultural.
It wasn't common. It is.
It's not the halo you get from being an atheist?
Atheist?
Just kidding. The halo that you get when you become an atheist.
It's the halo I got from being Asian in a non-Asian culture.
I think we all feel isolated and unique, and until we start to connect, and then we feel less isolated and less unique.
I may be the only one old enough to have ever watched a TV series called The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, starring Dwayne Hickman and Tuesday Weld. But he was in love with a blonde who was Tuesday Weld, but there was this plain girl named Zelda who really adored Dobie Gillis. And she had this technique, is that she would look him in the eyes with this gaze, and it would mesmerize him. And then he would snap out of it and tell her, stop that. But it was a running feature of that show that she had this power over him by looking him in the eyes, and it absolutely mesmerized him every time.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that through the eyes is the most powerful way to connect.
It's the window on the soul.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think touch is pretty powerful.
I want to hold your hand.
I would agree with that one. I think they all have their particular angle of entrance into your awareness, and each one has its own purposes. I think they're all amazing, and I would
and
love to
also where you put your focus and attention. Sorry, I thought you were done. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
I think it was apparent to me because I'm a musician, so I use my ears a lot. So I get stimulated literally, okay, by listening to things with my ears, where other people say, "What? What did you hear?" And by the time I try explaining it, it's like, it's like a joke. If I have to explain a joke a little bit too much, it's kind of lost its power. But I find myself very attuned to certain sounds, certain patterns, and so I think it's definitely, a matter of what you pay attention to.
Do you like
other
the
people
mantras?
could maybe do a taste.
So what do you think of the mantras, and did you like them, or have you tried some singing mantras?
I've tried them before, but it seems to me, it seems odd to put words to it. What I'm looking for is the reverberation, the sound flowing through the body, and whether it's a certain pattern of words or something else. For me, it doesn't need to map to in honor of God or dark, bright, or whatever, so it's a different focus.
Yeah, well, I feel the same. Like with the mantra, I feel that's more like a sound. That it's something about the sound of the words.
Okay, what about emotion? So those who see God as the fabric of reality and deeply love that being and function of existence, when they're saying the words, they're feeling the emotions too. All of these levels of function are levels of interaction. So those who truly believe in God, who truly believe God is the fabric of reality and the nature of all things, who love that, when they say those words, Vahiguru Jikikveta Jikikasa, they mean it with all their heart. And that's part of the problem in meditation, is when people don't do things with true meaning, when they're feeling an emotion about doing something like the sounds. Most from the West would feel silly doing those things. Why are you doing that? What a waste of time. But the very act of verbalization is a cognitive action. If you sing those verbalizations, they're vibrating your entire body structure, including your bones. Now, this is something science doesn't talk about, but forces are forces. So if you're vibrating forces in your body, that's changing the chemical reactions and everything else that's going on. All of these natures go back to what I fundamentally say. We are a machine-like fabric, and that's how natures that we interact with. They are what they are. They work the way they do. Every meditation will lead to a different result. This is why there's such a vast array of meditative practices, because with our minds, we can do a vast amount. I mean, I keep coming back to saying the ancient cultures practiced maths in their head day and night. They practiced geometry in their head day and night. That's meditation and adaptive evolution. That has function to what we become. That gets passed on. And every species is different. And that's all due to just choosing different energy paths. I'm going to emote this way for that function. I'm going to emote that way. And that's why we've got two emotional spectrums as well. Because one group finds that thing over there weak, whereas the other group over there finds that thing strong. The same goes for meditation.
I have to go, guys, but just before I leave, I should just say I've also really had that experience many times, that when there's an emotion, a strong feeling for the greater whole, that really takes it to a different level. So the strongest experiences that I have had have always been with some kind of feeling for that. So thanks for mentioning that. So I can certainly relate to it. And then I gotta go. Really enjoy this, guys.
Bye, Glenn.
Is Kayla still here?
Kayla looks like she is still here, yes.
Hello, Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
Hello.
Where have you been hiding?
In her new home.
No, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say that I really enjoyed what I listened to in the very beginning, and I'm very sorry that I missed all of it. I would have loved to participate wholeheartedly. But what I did do, unbeknownst to all of you guys, is that breathing and holding my breath. I thought that was pretty cool. So maybe one of these days, Jazz Wonder, you and I could reconnect and you can summarize it. But I am still kind of in my move, and I was meeting the, dumping guys while the session was going on, and now I'm home and unloading some more. But it was wonderful to hear all of these people. I see Paul, and now I can see people. Joel again, Stacy, Nancy, wonderful. I think Tyra had mentioned being in session with you, Jazz, as well as Joel. So maybe I could jump in one of these days, but yeah.
Always welcome.
Thank you.
And anyone else?
Uncle? Jaswinder uncle, can we take a leave because we have to get up early in the morning? Here it is 12 now.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, everyone. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
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 God bless you all.
Vaheguru Ji Ki Khalsa.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru.
Vaheguru.
Joe, you made an observation that maybe this is not as well understood in the West. I actually thought that the existence of hymnals indicates that they actually understand this pretty well, at least in certain churches. Because these hymnals are actually, how the West kind of churches get that mass resonance in sonority going.
The problem is conscious focus. Most people aren't taught how to do it. And it's a very vital part of doing the whole thing.
Yeah, Joe, when you said science doesn't really think or talk much about this, I totally am with you. I think there's a whole era or arena of science, like physics, where physics of the physical things versus physics of the mental things. I think the mental things ultimately are physical in our minds, but there's an analogy. Barry and I have been onto this analogy and our paths cross on it. And if I was to call it a science, there are various people who call it social physics, but that doesn't capture it because individual people are like cells in the brain. Individual people can connect just like cells of the brain can connect. And how do we know that if that happens at 2 realms, how do we know it doesn't happen at more realms? How do we know that there aren't molecules that are connecting and resonating each other in our brains at a deeper micro level? And then at a greater macro level, the solar systems are talking to each other at a very slow rate somehow. So my point is there is a psychic kind of connection in the world. And I would say it's not social physics. I would say it's psychics. And
how would you go about that function though? Let's talk about it in physics.
Say again.
We see everything as separate in the particles.
Yep.
Is it?
Oh,
there is an infinite 0 point.
Yep.
So if there's an infinite 0 point and that 0 points through everything, it's being reacted to by everything. So there is no real disconnect between anything except in relativity. I only relatively exist. I mean, you're not even really seeing my hand. You're seeing the reflection of the light that's interacting with my hand.
Right. There are some who believe that all particles are just the sum results of waves, and that goes all the way down. And I'm okay with that. I'm an infinite realm person. I think it goes infinitely to zero and infinitely to infinity on the other direction, and that there's an infinity in every place that you search. But I guess what I was trying to say with you is that I don't think science deals with, because they can't measure the communications that exist in between our ears and in between ourselves, our people. Mm-hmm. And there is an incredible analogy going on between how bodies rotate around each other, how they focus on their centrance, how they are drawn to the center, like what's the point? Everything has to have a point. And everything physical has a point, just like everything mental has a point. And we gravitate to whatever that point is. And sometimes that point ebbs and flows like a vast river with all kinds of vortices and ripples on it and so on. But the truth is that everything follows a certain fundamental principle, whether it's physical or mental, and that ultimately it's all the same stuff somehow. And science only discovers half of it. Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I'm going to interject something here, which is when I hear science doesn't X, I think that's an anthropomorphic mistake. I think it's a category mistake.
What does that mean?
Science doesn't will, science doesn't intend, science doesn't act.
Science is a body of humans acting.
Science
exactly, you're talking about humans in that sense, okay? But speaking about it as science, in a sense, discredits science. What you're really trying to do is you're discrediting the humans who are responsible for practicing certain sciences. And I think that's a very interesting distinction to make.
Yeah.
Because if you don't make that mistake, if you don't make that correction, then you're self-deluding yourself about whether science has merit or not.
I think it's okay to discredit certain things. I think we all have to give credit and discredit where we think it's due. Just like people give credit to religion and discredit religion, I think we can credit and discredit science in the same way.
I will disagree.
Okay.
I agree with him.
I've got this impression that science can tell us how things work, but it has difficulty telling us why things work.
Even in the how, I have a question. They state it in terms of abstract relationships of things they don't know how they exist. So what they're describing is the relationship of an emergent, already created function in relation to another emergent, already existing relation. They're both driven by the same fundamental basic nature, so their interactions on the higher dimensional levels will always be relative to the lower ones. And so what we get as the equations, an emergent equation, will fit because the fundamental relationships driving the fundamental nature is the same. But if you was to break that equation down, you could keep going down the fractal levels and adding on other bits of the equations, and it would still be effectively right for the same purposes. Just the more and more detail you get, the more and more understanding of all the possibilities that can happen.
Martin Gardner, who is one of my favorite authors, has a book that's worth attending to. It's called Science, Good, Bad, and Bogus. And he distinguishes between good science, bad science, and just bogus science, which isn't even attempting to be science. So yeah, you can discredit bad science and bogus science, and that's in service to good science.
I look at it as we have to be careful in the era of time. There's always a ruling class that's an acceptable and understood ruling class. And right now, science is the ruling class. And I'm perfectly happy with that. In the past, I think religion and various faiths were emerging or had emerged as a ruling class. And before that, it was maybe the sages or the kings or the wise men or the wizards, whatever. And in the future, it's not going to be science. In the future, I think it's going to be artificial intelligence. And then where's science going to be? So there's always going to be a ruling class, and everyone emerges for rule, for power.
The Hebrew word Torah is a dictionary word in Hebrew, and it means theory or science. Still has that definition today.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of science that was espoused during the Old Testament, and you can read parts of the different Bibles and see that really was science they were talking about. It's just that was the way they understood science at the time. They didn't have all the tools.
That was their best approach in those days, 3,500 years ago.
And AI is going to be able to say the same thing. You know, we're looking at all the empirical data and we're putting it together, and you humans don't really quite get it, but we're going to take good care of you.
I think I agree with Tammy Lee Meyer that the phrase artificial intelligence is like an oxymoron.
It's not intelligent.
It will be.
It's not an oxymoron. People just forget the A in the AI. It's not an oxymoron if you actually remember there's an A there.
Yeah.
Except it's not
But
intelligence.
it's augmented intelligence.
It's not very intelligent now, I would agree.
The smart machine hasn't got intelligence at all. It's just a machine programmed by something else that's intelligent.
That's changing.
For me, the current understanding of what AI is, it's a big fancy shrink wrap machine. That's all it is. Just trying to do better and better shrink wrap to approximate the shape underneath.
Algorithms have been around for 1,000 years. Comes from the name of an Islamic mathematician who lived about 1,000 years ago, Al-Khwarizmi. Developed a lot of advanced mathematics, including algorithmic solutions to complex problems.
When I look back at history, there's quite a lot of what I can see is one culture destroying another culture it saw as a bad superior, then hating the other culture and then trying to destroy that idea of what they saw was superior, whether it be maths or anything else. It doesn't matter what culture it is. The British did it when they went around the world telling the Hindus that they were uncivilized and every other culture, while simultaneously they were living through some of their darkest periods yet. I mean, Hindus had science 4,000 years ago and everybody tries to dismiss it because it's a different perspective of how to measure the shapes and geometries. Doesn't mean it's not right. Science claims to have had all the tools, but when you look back in history and look at the ages that people lived to if they didn't get themselves killed in some way, it ranges up to the hundreds. Well, 100. Between sort of 60 and 100. It was perfectly normal for even thousands of years ago. The only thing that took down the averages were the people that got themselves killed or died from disease. The actual people, if they stayed healthy all their lives up until what is common age now. So we always have to question the myths of science. Academia, academic science, especially Western view, has made a lot of claims. It created things. It came up with the ideas when they're all stolen from other cultures.
It's all a big melding.
No.
Yeah, and it's like I agree that all the bloodshed that's occurred over the years doesn't have to be, but somehow it is happening. But I can't help but think is all covering and is all encompassing as the word love is that love has to play a part of our future, because the kindness associated with not harming each other and embracing each other like we're doing now, we're different cultures coming together for the first time in maybe many centuries and getting a taste of each other's cultures and realizing that there's a little piece of sanity in that for all of us, that somehow we have to have more of this. We have to have more of a sharing of ideas to realize how close we are together and not how far apart we are from each other.
It's always the hardest question. Can you truly love your enemy?
There's no money being close together at the moment, Paul. It's only now that we're starting to move away from fossil fuels to other sources of energy. And that's going to cause or become a big vacuum to fill. Because the old power structure is going to crumble. If it doesn't have the money to operate, it can't operate. You can't keep running those vast machines of murder without vast resources.
Yeah.
I have a question for you on that front. how many nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are on duty at any given time in the world?
Yeah.
Exactly. 10.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know the answers. I feel like
we have the questions and we have the answers. We can't challenge those who sit and make the laws, but they call them laws, but actually they're acts of senators, they're acts of parliaments, they're not laws. They are a shenanigan of getting us to do something by consenting. Somehow we have given them this consent, and there's nowhere in any constitution where it says that the population of this country, the UK, gives the government consent to wage war on our behalf whenever they feel like it, or whenever they ascertain a threat.
Yeah.
We haven't given. We need a better system whereby we engage, and when we the people say no, they should listen to us.
Yeah, seems like somehow everyone who can take power and who does take power seems to feel that they're benevolent enough where they can wield that power in a way that's beneficial for everyone, but it never really turns out that way.
I don't think anybody's pretending that anymore, are they? Who's pretending even that?
I don't know. I know that they still wield the power, maybe quietly. Maybe
they wield it with impunity.
What's that?
They wield with impunity, it seems. That's getting more and more common.
What does impunity mean again? I forget, sorry.
Without consequence, without punishment.
Thank you.
Without, being held accountable.
Yeah, so that kind of makes
when a person becomes a member of a government, now there is the ministerial government, so the senators, the committee members, which would be the cabinet, they have total impunity, as does the prime minister and the president, as has been demonstrated. The members of parliament have a certain amount of autonomous impunity allied to their rank in the government. So these ranks that they attain where they're immune to prosecution are being abused currently. And it needs to be completely the opposite way around in lots of respects. The present government system comes from the Industrial Revolution, and now it's the corporate revolution. And what we need is a people's revolution. And I would love for the people to do the exact opposite of what Alex Reed keeps saying, vote. I say, nobody vote. Let there be a hung people versus the parliament. There's no government.
Did you say let there be a hum?
We don't want a government.
Did you say let there be a hum? H-U-M-M?
H-U-N-G.
A hung. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Let there be a hung.
Let the people come together and decide a new way of electing or bringing a government about.
A hung government is when not enough people vote or there's a split type vote.
Okay, where it's too split. I got you now.
Yeah. Or there's no vote. Not enough people vote to get an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I was off on a tangent where I feel very strongly that we should create this proxy type of voting where we can either vote as we wish, or we can give our vote to someone who we trust better to vote for us in everything. Because I would vote for Barry on situations with systems architecture, for instance. And I would give him my vote because Barry knows better. And I know enough to know Barry knows better. But if it comes for a popular president, maybe I want to keep my vote. But when it comes to physics, maybe I want to give my vote to Albert Einstein. Or if I wanted to vote on how to create a better program in data science, I might give my vote to Connor. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like where you're headed on that one. I think that, people don't realize, because it seems to have been around for over a decade, the whole cryptocurrency thing was not originally invented to be a Ponzi scheme. which it is today, okay? But it was originally invented so that accountability could be transparent and could be distributed and decentralized. And that allows either transactions or the recording of whatever you want to record, actions, decisions, votes, you know, to be essentially decentralized and provable. So if you're not looking at cryptocurrency and Ethereum and Bitcoin in that light, then you're in the Ponzi scheme world, where you're thinking, oh, let me throw my $500 here at $50,000 per Bitcoin, and let me see if it's still going to go to $1 million, okay? But the original point of it was really to decentralize our actions and our control. And that, if we actually take advantage of it, could bring about the decentralization of governments and the more reabsorbing the power into regular people. That's something that we could still work on, unless you're busy chasing, you know, Bitcoin all the way up to $100,000.
Can I just point out all the voting systems around the world are voted for by the majority?
The majority is a guaranteed way that the worst ideas will win and the best ideas will lose.
And so you,
however,
more people,
if you then add that to Paul's idea, which is now, I don't actually have to vote on anything if I choose not to, but I can actually choose to give my vote to Jaswinder if it comes to a certain issue, or Barry when it comes to a certain issue, then that's actually exercising my role and responsibility as a citizen in a more proper way than just saying, oh, A or B, well, you know, B's taller, so I'm going to vote for B, okay? Yeah. The other, and I would say still better way, is right now we have an entirely backward system where 2 or 3 people create the options that millions of people vote on, and they spend weeks creating these options, and everybody else spends maybe a minute or less trying to decide who to vote for or whatever, okay? That's an extreme characterization, but you know, largely is correct. What I would prefer is that millions of us co-create and co-test and co-evaluate various different options so that thousands get whittled down to 100, get whittled down to 10, get whittled down to 3 or 2 or 1, and that then becomes what we implement. And then there's no election required.
It's like
that's a reverse process.
Very organic growth process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can't do that unless the people really take their power back and take it away from lobbyists, take it away from special interests, take it away from SIGs, take it away from the Democratic and Republican parties, you know, because those only act in their own self-interest.
Yeah. I like the proxy voting method because we all know the people we want to give our vote to. We know them, we've observed them, we've watched them, and we trust them. And that is the same all the way up the ladder, all the way to the very end of the voting process. And it gives a lot of confidence to me that we'll grow organically in a proper way.
I found that democracy is being destroyed in the United States because a handful of people want less taxes for corporations. A corporate pair of lobbyists in Washington, they vote for less taxes for corporations and they get it. But 85% of the population want bigger taxes for corporations. They want them to pay their fair share. So the majority are not being listened to due to the fact that they don't. No, the thing that controls the Constitution in America has been written in a way that allows voters to opt out.
Yeah, the dollars are what are doing the voting. Few individuals with many dollars, $1 is one vote, and if one person can control many votes, and that's sad that we vote that way too much, too often in America.
There's a lawyer in California named Lawrence Lessig who's actually tracked down the 147 people who actually pull the strings in the United States. He calls the United States Lester world because there are exactly 147 Lesters in the United States. So he basically says the Lesters are just 147 people, control pretty much every important decision being made.
Yeah, it's
that like has to change.
An elitist theory, and
it's not a theory. It's not a theory. If you look at the money, if you look at the positions of power and who decides candidacy, you know, it's what's necessary is the transparency. So it's not years and decades of research by one lone lawyer somewhere in California working at Stanford to do this, but that the transparency needs to make all of this visible to everybody, you know, easily.
Yeah, Stanford from Harvard. He was at Harvard the last I checked.
He's associated with both.
Okay.
There's a lot of people trying to do that with blockchain.
Which is what I just said.
Yeah. I think everything in the public world should be perfectly transparent, and everything in the private world can be as private as it needs to be, because I do believe in privacy as well. But when it comes to public elections, I think everyone's information should be very visible.
And therefore, we're about to find out more and more regarding Trump's taxes, which I believe just got released this week.
Yes, but only to the grand jury.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, even that's a forward step.
They were leaked out to the media months ago.
Well, his niece leaked some of it, and his ex-wife, I think, leaked one page.
Yeah, it's I love the whole concept of boundaries, what it gives to the learning for the world, and that is being able to infinitely differentiate into the infinite zero, so to speak. That the more we can differentiate the boundaries between the things that we learn about, the more we can be intelligent about them. Like, my feelings are my feelings, but sometimes my wife thinks that, you know, my feelings are her feelings, or vice versa. And it's really wonderful to know and to be able to claim ownership and to not steal somebody else's idea, or not let them trump on your idea. Or in other words, just let them know that's your idea they're trumping on, and maybe they won't trump on it quite so much. Or just understand these things that are in the mental world, the ideas and thoughts, that these are things and that they have ownership. And claiming ownership is not a bad thing.
Paul, I'm thrilled that you stumbled on the same idea that I stumbled on previously.
Yeah, and I immediately wanted to say that we share this idea together. You independently discovered, and so we share that ownership. And it's a wonderful feeling, because I don't feel so alone in the world.
And you'll take it to the next level.
Yeah.
That's good. Somebody wrote in the chat there that voting is of democracy with the YouTube clip. I'll have a look at that, because when you look up democracy in the dictionary, there's control or governing of the country by all the people. And the word that stood out to me was all. Because if 80% of the people want war, an end to war, for example, it will get there. It will get up, because 80% is all the people. Is what democracy is about. It's not about small groups voting in private or monopoly, you know, little monopolies, and 60% of the population not bothering to vote at all. They're the people who are getting disregarded. And it's strange, you know, because it's not unusual to see poorly educated people refuse to vote. They throw their hands in the air and say, there's no point in voting. What's the use, you know? Doesn't
that's
change.
why I love
nothing changes.
Voting for them. The poor people can say, I trust so-and-so, I'm going to give him my vote. And everyone has to trust someone else for something. None of us are immune to that. There's too much knowledge in the world.
You don't trust the government to put all the people in jail, in slave labor camps, because they were using a prohibited herb. That's crazy. That's the insane asylum.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let this go for another hour and 10 minutes approximately before it has to get shut down. Unless
I'm going to jump off.
You guys want it to go for another 4 hours, in which case I'll stop recording now and start another one.
I'm going to jump off. I'm going to go get some dinner.
I'm going to go get breakfast.
Joel, very nice meeting you.
Okay.
You too.
Good chat, everybody.
I got to go and prepare for tomorrow night.
Yeah, I better go say hi to my wife too before she forgets about me. So I'm going to leave too. But nice meeting you all. Nice chatting. Good to see you again, Barry.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure.
Good to meet you, Paul.
All right. Bye-bye.